Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Backroad, In Between Media's NASCAR video show podcast. We still haven't figured out quite what to call it yet, but regardless, we're glad you're here. Usual suspects today. I'm Elliot. I got Seth and Jared here with me. Special guest today, just as we had last week, Dakota Rutledge. He's the co-host of the Chairgating podcast, and he's also the host of At the Line. Thanks for joining us, man. Hope you're enjoying that drink.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. It's appreciated. It's an honor to be on the show. I've been watching the last couple episodes y'all have had out, and when Jared hit me up, I was like, oh, heck yeah, dude, I love it.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So talk a little bit about, how your NASCAR fandom started, kind of where it is now, and, about what you're doing here in the whole NASCAR.
Oh, shit, man. Well, unlike all these damn Twitter kids, I'm like a 20-year vet here. My first race was in 01, the Atlanta Kevin Harvick, Jeff Gordon battle. That was my first race I went to. And so I guess by nature, I ended up being a Kevin Hart fan. But back in those days, I liked Junior, and I liked Ricky Rudd and Mark Martin and stuff. But then, Junior's days kind of died off. And I was like, man, I really need someone to hitch my trailer to. And I was like, well, my first race was Kevin Harvick. I was like, you know what? I'm going to like that Kevin Harvick guy. And I've been there ever since 05. I was a Kevin Hart fan. So I'm not just bandwagoning this Ford ride. But I've gone to races since I was a little kid with my dad and stuff. And then he's older now. And as I grew up, I was like, I got more buddies that we go to races and kind of pass the torch. And we go to a bunch of races every year. And then I noticed Twitter started blowing up. I see people making YouTube stuff. And I'm like, dude, a lot of people are, like me, my age, are out here going to all these races and doing stuff. I was like, I ought to do something too. So I kind of started making my YouTube page and started making my own little show called At the Line. And, I recently got noticed by my buddy Rattlesnake with Chairgating, and he was looking for a co-host, and he had a little challenge, and I entered it, and he ended up picking me, and now I'm a co-host of the Chairgating podcast. We got 2 episodes a week. We've been, just having some people on and just talking everything NASCAR, what we got going on, and, a lot of people in the YouTube and Twitter community, but just love to meet people, make friends through the internet, make friends going to races, and, it's so cool for just the love of NASCAR, how many friends you can make.
Yeah, very cool. It's going to be a good episode today. And again, glad you're here. The last episode, we talked all about Bristol Dirt Race. It was everything dirt race. And it was the first time NASCAR did it in a while. And it was an eventful weekend with all the rain, but Joey Logano ended up getting the win. Some interesting names in the top 10, like Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, a lot of guys like that. I feel like normally we don't talk a whole lot about races that have happened in the past, but we talk so much about Bristol Dirt and it was so unique. I feel like we got to go around the room, get a quick opinion on that race. Seth, you're just to the left of me on my screen. We'll start with you and go around, I guess.
Yeah, that was just a whole hell of a lot of fun, honestly, Elliot. Was really, pulling for my guy, Daniel Suarez there. Kind of got screwed out of a stage win at the end there. And then, Joey Logano kind of swipes it at the end like he normally does. So didn't see that coming, but a lot of fun overall and a satisfying weekend despite the rain.
Yeah, I thought the Bristol Dirt was pretty cool. I think it was more interesting the fact that Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell got taken out early in the race, and then you have guys like you were saying in the top 10. You got Eric Jones in the top 10, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished second, Daniel Suarez was running pretty good, and it really just brought my attention that I think it'd be cool if NASCAR ran a couple more dirt races, and I think they did a really good job for the first time doing that. I think they handled it pretty well for circumstances, like having the 50 laps. They had the tire changes and stuff and brakes, whatever. Wasn't a huge fan of how long the brakes were. I'd rather them just go race the whole time. It kind of reminded me of the old All-Star race whenever they had that intermission. But either way, I thought the Bristol Dirt was pretty awesome, and I hope they continue to maybe try to push for a couple more dirt races.
What was your feelings on the race, man?
All right, I mean, where do I start? I was really, really I wasn't even optimistic going into this thing. I was like, we're going to cover Bristol and dirt. We're taking away a Bristol date. What the hell are we doing? But the closer it got and Fox is blowing it up, I was like, okay, maybe I ought to check this thing out. Let's see how this is going to go. I'm going to watch it either way. And it was so refreshing to have practice. When they first had that Friday practice, I was like, dude, yes. I missed watching practice. I didn't realize it. And when I saw the cars slide in the corners and they were all drifting around the corner, I was like, okay, this is kind of badass. I'm not going to lie. It sucks with the rain. What can you do? It's Bristol in March. Martinsville backed it up the next week with rain itself. Just plays this everywhere we go. But the race, man, everybody had their money on Bell and everybody had their money on Larson, and they take each other out. Who would have called that? Some big money lost there. And then Suarez, like you were saying, Seth, Suarez was up there, bumps Truex out of the lead. I was like, dude, how sick would this be if Suarez won? He still got a good fourth out of it, but cream rises to the top. It kind of reminded me of old Bristol. It kind of grooved up towards the end. I get the brakes kind of suck, but they really had to have those brakes to groom the track and wet it because it was getting so dry. I mean, I'm not a dirt track expert, but with dirt, I mean, it was getting nuts. I don't know if y'all saw videos and pictures, but it was like the Dust Bowl of 29 or something. But I mean, Joey Logano takes the win. It was a lot of people hate Logano. I was just kind of happy we had a 7th winner. It was cool to just add to that list. And there were some, mentionable top guys in the top 10. Ricky Stenhouse, we had Reddick up there, Ryan Newman, Eric Jones, like y'all said. It was a good ass race at the end of it for the first time on dirt.
I definitely thought it was a good race too. It was nice to see Bell and Larson take each other out because, being the top dirt guys, it was cool to not have to worry about them for 3/4 of the race because I thought that it was just going to be the two of them. Suarez, that was real cool. But it was a good weekend on the dirt. They are going to do it again next year, and hopefully there won't be so much rain. So, Dakota, you brought up the 7 winners in 7 races that ended this past weekend at Martinsville. And Martin Truex Jr. get his 2nd win of the year. Pretty normal top 10 there. I feel like there's not too much to say about this. This was a relatively normal Martinsville race. I don't know if anyone has any particular thoughts.
I thought it was an amazing race. That was a barn burner. That was classic Martinsville. We've seen some okay Martinsville races the last couple of times. Yeah, you had the Logano Truex battle in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but this Martinsville was very refreshing to me.
It was kind of a crazy shit show for a little bit with the Rick Ware racing civil war going on at the back of the pack. So that was crazy, and it was really cool to see guys like Kyle Busch take on a lot of damage kind of throughout the middle part of that race, and then rally back to a top 10 finish. So overall, had a lot of fun. It was cool to see Truex kind of close it in like we used to see Kevin Harvick back in the day, kind of be that late closer. Gets the pass on Denny Hamlin late, secures the victory for my fantasy squad. So I was a happy camper, even if it was a day later.
Yeah, as Denny Hamlin always says, that's short track racing. I thought it was a pretty good Martinsville race. It's funny how everyone a couple years ago just trashed on Truex, he couldn't win at a short track, and now he's a favorite at every single short track.
He's lighting them up.
Martinsville is now Martinsville, pretty much.
I'm pretty sure I saw they changed their Twitter handle to put the apostrophe in there for Martinsville. That was
I did see that. Yeah, I just like how the last couple years how Truex can race there at the end against guys he worked Denny Hamlin those last couple of laps and passed him cleanly. I think Truex is a pretty good driver. He's figured it out. I think it took him all these years to figure it out, but he's been pretty good at Martinsville the past couple of times. And with Richmond coming up, I think he's probably a favorite for there already.
Dude, besides the cautions, it was a caution fest, and we restarted it at 4. It was long with the red flags and everything, but I loved seeing Hamlin take off on the short run and Blaney run him down on the long run. And you had the kind of come and go effect, and it happened all race long. And then we get that late race caution, and you're like, dude, this is it. Blaney versus Hamlin, shoot out to the finish. Who's going to get it? And then Blaney has his pit road woes, and it's like, no. But then that literally threw it in Truex's lap. He was turning so much better than Hamlin at the end, you could tell. And I'm thinking, why is Truex wasting his time? Move Hamlin, go on. But Truex is such a clean racer. He talks about all the time. He doesn't like to pass guys like that or whatever, but he just simply passes, Hamlin with ease. Chase Elliott's coming in hot. I'm like, oh, crap, he's going to get there. But he wastes his time battling with Hamlin, and Truex just sails off in the sunset. He's literally dominating Martinsville lately.
Right. He wasn't able to win on a short track, I think, until, 2018, 2019, something like that.
Yeah, now he's on the tear. He's won last 4 or 5, something like that.
So, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he was a favorite at Richmond. We'll go ahead and move on to our top 10 now. Every week we pick our top 10 drivers, the 3 normal suspects on this show, and we'll start with our bottom 3. Number 10, Alex Bowman. Number 9, Kevin Harvick. Number 8, Kyle Busch. 3 really interesting drivers, all kind of in different spots here. I'm going to start this one off talking about Alex Bowman. Oh, big surprise. The Bowman fan wants to talk about Bowman, whatever. But I'm the only one who's in this top 10. I had him at number 7 because on paper, if you look at Bowman's last 2 races, he has 0 fantasy value, absolutely none, because they've ran into trouble. The fact of the matter is, both at Bristol Dirt and at Martinsville, Bowman had at least a top 5 car, if not a car that could have won the race. He was running, I think, second when his transmission broke. He didn't have 4th gear for most of Bristol Dirt, and was running second at Martinsville when he had the loose wheel, fell back to about 5th, and then got involved in that big wreck when Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher, one of them ran out of talent, dumped the other, and turned the back straightaway into a parking lot. But I think that Bowman, he's a sleeper guy now. That's why I like that he comes in at number 10. He's even though he's had a top car I like that he's not near the top in our rankings, not only because that team has been snake bit a little bit more of the luck issues that we had from Jimmy Johnson in the 48, that car, the Ally car, was cursed or whatever. Could still be the same with this 48 car, but I think that if they can finally get some luck on their side, that it'll be a good next couple of weeks for that 48 team. But like I said, all three of these guys are in really interesting places right now. Jared, we'll start with you this time since Kyle Busch is here. We'll see if you have anything to say about any of these guys.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't have Rowdy in my top 10 ranking. As a huge Rowdy fan as I am, I don't know. He just hasn't been like, I haven't seen him have like that true speed like he used to have back in like the 2015 to 2020 or 2015 to 2019 era. Like, I think maybe the package or something's catching up to him, or something's catching up, or something's different with that 18 team. Cause like, yeah, he finished 10th, but he was also the 4th best Gibbs car in the race. So I don't know if like maybe Richmond's coming up. I don't know if maybe that'll turn his luck around. I know he has a really good average there at Richmond. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that maybe something will happen, but it just seems like each week I'm just waiting for something to happen. Like I told my dad, like before the race, I'm like, Kyle Busch is probably going to wreck or something. Lo and behold, what happened? He wrecked. But I'll give him credit that he worked his way back up to get a top 10 finish. So hopefully that we can keep a streak going, maybe get a second top 10, maybe push for a top 5. A top 5 would be a win for me, but not wrecking would probably be the first goal.
Jared, I'm with you. I hear your frustrations as you being a Rowdy fan. I think you're looking maybe a little bit as like you want that top 5 position, you want that win, and he's not there yet, but he's still been inconsistent. It's like every other race he's right now inside the top 10, but I liked what I saw last week. Richmond's been a great place for Kyle Busch these last couple years. He has 6 straight top 10 finishes there, has also won it 6 times as well. So I'm looking at him to be a player in Richmond once again. And Vegas, we know, or Talladega, we know that's going to be a crapshoot, but he did win all the way back in 2008, first year in the M&M's Toyota Camry. So keep that in mind. I like him moving forward here, and I think 7 or 8 in our rankings. I think that's a really nice place for him.
Never, ever, ever count out that 18 car. If the wheels are rolling, I mean, Kyle, yeah, maybe last year wasn't his best season, but that dude can drive. He's probably one of the best wheelmen we've had in the last decades. KFB, dude. I used to hate the dude, but the older I got, more mature I got, I'm like, dude, he's a wheelman. And I mean, you can't deny his greatness, dude. If the wheels are rolling, never count that 18 car.
And Dakota, where are you at on Kevin Harvick right now? Obviously, SHR as a whole right now has been struggling this season. But Kevin Harvick, he worked himself back up in the top 10 this week after a terrible start.
Have y'all seen that meme where it's like the mom holding the kid in the pool, and then like the one kid's floating at the water, and then there's like a skeleton at the bottom? Kevin's the kid getting held up. Eric Almirola is the skeleton on the bottom, and then like Cole Custer and Chase Briscoe right there at the water. You see the numbers and the stats and the poor performances. Kevin's had a couple bad runs. He had a bad luck at Atlanta with the tire. I mean, he had a fast car, but never got to show it. He spent the whole race trying to get his lap back. Dirt race, it's a dirt race. Kevin doesn't race on dirt. I mean, he was scrapping at like 10th, 11th, 12th there for a minute. I was okay with 15th, whatever. This race, if you watched Fall Martinsville last year, and then you watch this race, he got all the way up to 6th at one point. I was totally fine with a P9 finish. Stuart House as a whole definitely needs to like throw everything in the whole kitchen sink at it, burn all the books you got, start over. I don't know what's going on. You got to look at the young talent. I honestly think Eric's only there because of Smithfield. I think it's time to pull the plug on Eric. I'm sorry, but nice only gets you so far. Kevin Harvick is Kevin Harvick. I think he'll retire in that 4, of course, and ride off in the sunset. I don't know who they're going to bring in after Kevin. They're really screwed, I think, if they don't get stuff together. But and then Briscoe's a rookie. I want to say, like, give them some time. They have no practice. So, the first time on the tracks, first time in the car. Custer, I'm just not sold on Custer. I don't hate him, but I don't like him. He's just kind of there. But Kevin Harvick, he's going to steer the ship. He's kind of got the whole team on his shoulders. But I'll take P9 at Martinsville.
Having the team on his shoulders is the perfect way to describe Harvick right now, because Stuart Haas is an absolute dumpster fire right now. And I really don't know.
I was trying not to say that. But I can't argue with you.
That's okay. Yeah. Stewart Haas Racing is in a really terrible place. But let's move on from them and go to our next three. Something in common with all three of these guys, 7, 6, and 5. William Byron, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Larson. 3 Hendrick Motorsports cars. HMS in a very good place right now. There's not really too much more specific to say about these guys from my perspective, other than that HMS is doing well and these guys are doing well by proxy.
Yeah, you like to see what you've been seeing out of the whole entire team, all the way down to Alex Bowman, all the way up to these guys. They perform nicely. Kind of still waiting on Chase Elliott a little bit. Obviously, he's had a couple top 5 finishes this season, but still waiting. He's been runner-up twice now, I think, as well. So he's there, but you just need to see a little bit more from him. Overall, though, William Byron, what more can you say about that guy? 6 straight top 10s, 6 most laps led this season. I'm all in on Willie Byron right now. I think I ranked him actually below Kyle Busch, and after doing that, I had to rethink that a little bit because, every time you pull up the standings, whatever race it is, this guy's in the top 10, just out there cooking.
Yeah, basically to piggyback off of what Seth was saying, I think I also said it last week too. I think HMS is kind of like old school HMS from like the late 2000s, early 2010s. Like they just always have consistent speed. Like you always see at least 1 or 2 of those guys up there in the front. Obviously 2 of them have a win now. So I think with some of the tracks coming up, I think maybe they'll probably continue to keep getting their top 10. So look to HMS to keep going.
Dude, I'm sure you guys have watched the sport long enough. Everything kind of comes in like full circle. It comes and goes. 1 year, Gibbs is on fire. What's wrong? Gibbs has got it. What's wrong with everybody else? 2 years ago, we were talking about how bad HMS was and how they needed to get their stuff together. Now we're talking about how great they are and what's going on with Stewart Haas. It kind of comes and goes in waves. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. Them boys, that Willie B, dude, I think he's sizzling and he's about to heat up. Like, I think he's finally got the mojo and he's got the ball rolling. I'm really liking what I'm seeing in the 24 camp. Everybody was hyping Larson and he's backing it up, dude. Larson is like, hey guys, I'm here and I'm not messing around. The 5 car's back. I love to see it. I think his success will only bring more sponsors to that ride. And, our past season champion, Chase Elliott, everybody's kind of like, hey, Chase, he's got some very good runs. He was going to win the Daytona road course if we didn't get that rain caution. He had the thing wrapped up. So there's a missed out on the win there, but he's been fast, but I think he's just getting superseded by these other HMS guys running even better.
Yeah, it's been a good season for Hendrick Motorsports and a good season for the 2 teams that we have in our top 4 here. Ryan Blaney is 4th, Joey Logano 3rd, Martin Truex Jr. 2nd, and Denny Hamlin on top once again. Even though Hamlin still doesn't have a win, he's consistently been the top guy on the leaderboard. And I'm starting to question if that 11 car is even going to get a win this year. Who knows, really?
Whoa. Big hot take right there.
I think he has to. I think it eventually, like, he has 7 of the 8 races. He's been in that top 5. The man's been out there leading laps after lap. I think he has about 487 laps right now. Next closest to him is Kyle Larson at 380. So he has a 100 lap lead on everyone. I think things just haven't, gone his way on the long run, but I think they're going to figure that out because obviously the 19 team knows how to be good on the long run. So maybe they can take something from them.
Good thing for Hamlin coming up is he's got another home race basically in Virginia at Richmond, and he's known to have a couple wins there. But the other scary thing is with him still consistently running without a win, like there's a chance he could break out and just win as many as he did last year if he gets things rolling in the summer. So
another big take right there is you rack off these top 5s. I think he's got like 7 top 5s in a row. You rack off these top 5s and the wins are going to come, and he's probably going to click off more than one. Another hot take there, and you had in the top 5, Ryan Blaney, Joey. I think you said Joey Logano. Penske's right there, dude. They've already got 2 guys getting wins. They're, I'm liking what I'm seeing in that camp. They got at least backing up the Ford teams. They're the guys to catch on the Ford camp. But Denny Hamlin, dude, I used to be like, man, I don't want to watch Hamlin win. But I don't know if it's him being a team owner or just getting older or growing on me, dude. I'm really liking Hamlin as he's getting seasoned and older. Hamlin, whether he wins or not this year, I think he's definitely going to be a Final 4 contender.
Right. I definitely think Hamlin is going to win this year. He'll probably win this weekend at Richmond just because I said
probably. I didn't want to
but
say
I figured that would just be a
good
good way to get a discussion going there. I'm going to shout out Joey Logano. He's had some good runs this year. Probably my worst fantasy take ever that I've had I wrote this column through the field on In Between Media that I'm sure you've read if you're watching this show. If you haven't, go check it out. Probably my worst take was right before Bristol Dirt. I put Joey Logano on my sells list, and that was a bad idea. I hope nobody listened to me because that was terrible. He's really evolved as one of those top veteran racers now, which is crazy to say because part of me still thinks that Joey Logano is the 18-year-old kid who's called sliced bread driving that GameStop number 20 car. But Logano this past weekend at Martinsville, he had a pretty crummy car at the beginning stages of the race. You know, it wasn't really going too well for him.
He almost went a lap down.
Right. He was very, very close to going a lap down. I think it was, I don't know if it was a wreck or a stage caution that saved him. But that team and that driver just worked on that car all day. I honestly don't remember where he finished, but I'm pretty sure he got a top 10. I'll go back and check and we can edit this out. But yeah, it looks like he was like 6th or 7th. Anyway, Logano raced that car.
He finished 6th.
Mm-hmm.
He raced that car back to a top 10 finish. Another good day for that team. And believe me when I say that it'll be a long time and a long, hard thought process before I put Joey Logano on my sales list again.
I at least have to say too, man, I respect you for owning your receipts. A lot of people, whether it's this industry or the fantasy football industry that we're in as well, a lot of people don't do that. So I appreciate you owning that a little bit. We all get calls wrong though. Joey Logano, he's just going to make you eat it a little bit worse than most.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like I had a good streak of luck last season in the playoffs that I was going to swing and miss on a few. Another bad one I had was at the beginning of this year. I said sell all Joe Gibbs Racing, and that turned out horribly also. But enough about my bad takes. Let's get to our next bad takes that we're all going to do. Talk about some buys and sells for these next couple of weeks, Richmond and Talladega in the next 2 races. And I don't really know how you can do buy and sell for Talladega, but we're going to do it anyway. I've been talking about Penske Racing, so I'll get my buys and sells out of the way real quick. I have Ryan Blaney on my buy list for obvious reasons. He's had such a competitive car. I just gave all the praise to Logano. But Blaney is probably the best team at Penske right now. I think that this is the year that Blaney really comes into his own. He's going to rip off multiple wins. He won't just have to rely on Talladega to get his win to get into the playoffs. And I think he'll be a championship 4 contender, probably one of those top 4 guys in playoff points when you head into the playoffs. I know that's a long way away, but that's my hot take prediction for Ryan Blaney. And I'll talk about the other Penske cars myself. Brad Keselowski, partially just because of bad luck. They've picked up some damage on their car in a couple of races that have really slowed them down. But we just haven't seen what we need to see and what the other 2 Penske cars are putting up for Brad Keselowski. And again, this is more maybe a little bit of a premature sell, but I'm kind of worried about the direction that the 2 cars headed in.
Yeah, Brad's just been caught up in a bunch of bad luck. Like I know in my fantasy league, I always predict Brad to win. Like, oh, I think he's going to get it. All the Penske guys have won, and like Brad's like right there. Like I think he's got it, but then every single time I pick him to win, he wrecks or something or finishes super bad. I'm like, well, that's a terrible prediction by me again. But for my buy and sells, I think this is a hot take, but I think my buy is going to be Ricky Stenhouse Jr. these next couple weeks. I know he hasn't finished, has the top 10s to back it up, but if you look at like where he's finishing between like the 10th and 15th pretty much every single race. And like obviously the Bristol Dirt, he did pretty good in second. I think he's a lot better on the short tracks because I think he knows how to handle. I think you can handle the cars a lot better with the short track package. And then Talladega, he can win on restrictor plates, and I think Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is like right there knocking on the door to start having consistent top 10s. Maybe Talladega possibly pull off a win.
Nice. I like that, Jared. I'm gonna kind of be a little more chalk than you did. I'm taking all of Hendricks right now, guys. We've talked a lot here in the earlier parts of the seasons about kind of how I value fantasy NASCAR drivers moving forward. And it's like fantasy football in the way that, the top 6 drivers, I look at them as like your driver ones. And right now, I think they have at least 3 guys that are easily driver ones. Willie Byron kind of rounding that out. And Alex Bowman, you already kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, Elliot. Just some bad luck there. I think he's going to get things straightened out. A lot of laps led between all of them. A lot of top 10s, a lot of couple top 5s as well. So liking what I'm seeing from Hendricks. My sell, and Dakota, you kind of already took the words out of my mouth earlier about Eric Almirola, man. But I don't think anyone realizes how bad it's been, but he's 28th in the points right now. He was my sell last show as well.
Rip up the receipt, bro. Just give it away.
Right.
Give it away.
If you haven't sold Eric Almirola by now, you're getting no value.
That bacon is old, dude.
You're going to have to throw him in the Goodwill bin at this point.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Eric, but we got to do something else.
It's crazy though. Like right now, like his average finish is only like 1 or 2 spots above Justin Haley. Like that's how bad.
It's insane. He has bad luck, so much bad luck this year. Even the last year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been bad for Eric Almirola, and at this point, like I don't value him if I'm playing I don't want him in any format. If I'm playing in season long, I would rather have a guy like Ryan Preece, a guy like Corey LaJoie, even maybe. But in DFS, I'm probably looking more to play a guy like Justin Haley, who I know is going to start from the rear, can get those move up points, rather than Almirola, who might be starting a little bit higher and isn't going anywhere. So Eric Almirola, that's no hot take for me. But Dakota, who are your buys and sells, man?
If I'm buying something right now, it's that 19 ride, dude. The first to double up on wins this year. We're going to Richmond. He's been on a tear there just as much. HMS is fast, but Gibbs is freaking laying down the money too. Christopher Bell had a hell of a rally coming in that race. The other day on Sunday at Martinsville. I think he finished 5th. Hamlin third, and then Truex winning. We had Kyle Busch woes, but Gibbs is there, dude. They're not getting all the wins racked up yet, but I like what I'm seeing in the Gibbs camp. I'm buying all of them. I may not buy Kyle Busch. I'm sorry, Jared. If I'm selling, it's I don't know who I want to sell here. It's probably gonna be everybody but the 4-car on Stuart Haas. Don't put your money on them. You leave them at the Goodwill shelf. We don't want it. I'm sorry, guys, but I'll take the 4 and don't give up on the 4. But the rest of Stuart Haas, we got to sell it. Get it out of here.
Right. In my latest through the field column, also and in between media, I had Stuart Haas as a complete sell. At this point, I'm not even taking the 4-car unless he's at a really, really discounted price. The Stuart Haas, I won't touch on it too much more because we've been basically ragging on Stuart Haas the entire show. But they're in a weird spot because Almirola brings all that Smithfield money, and Cole Custer basically has no sponsorship. They're just running a Haas car every week, and that's a tough spot to be in because they're not going to get rid of Custer anytime soon because his dad Joe is a higher up with Stuart Haas Racing. So that means I don't really know what's going to happen with Stuart Haas, but it's going to be something to watch here in the next couple of weeks and throughout the rest of the season to see if they can rebound. Because I think eventually it's going to really start to trickle down to Harvick. Right now, you're seeing Harvick. Because he's such a good driver, he's out driving that equipment, getting these top 10s, sometimes even a top 5. The fact that he's even running in the top 15 with how bad the rest of the team is really surprising. So eventually I feel like Harvick is going to start to go down also. And it's going to be a bad time. All right, so now it's time for our favorite part of the show, the Backroad advice, Backroad stories. This week we're going to talk about some of the fights that we've seen in NASCAR. We had an Xfinity fight at Martinsville. This wasn't a Noah Gragson one, so that was nice. The spotlight's off him for once. Joe Graff Jr. and Greg Alding, 2 people who the casual NASCAR fan will have absolutely no idea who either of those people are, but they got in a little bit of a fight, and it made us think of some of the classic NASCAR fights. The one that I'll bring up is Spencer Gallagher and John West Townley, another kind of
Lord.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember what track this was on or really what happened.
Was it Milwaukee?
I think it was Milwaukee. So.
Some random truck race, but they get out of their cars and they don't fight in the garage. They fight on the track. One of them tackled the other one on the middle.
And it's rough.
And that was a heck of a time. So that and the picture that goes around of Dale Jr. from about 2003 on pit road flipping off somebody. Just that one.
Robbie Gordon at Bristol.
They got the perfect picture of that, and those are the two. Those are the two I'll bring up. So we'll go around the room and what are some of the best fights that we've seen in NASCAR over the years?
I'm probably gonna have to go with Clint Boyer and Jeff Gordon down in Phoenix. I think that was I want to say 2012. Yeah, 2012 in Phoenix. Clint Boyer's just hauling ass down pit road, just a straight sprint at Jeff Gordon's team. So that was, I'll never forget Clint just hauling straight, man. I was like, damn, I didn't think he could run that fast, honestly. So that'll always have a place. It's special in my heart, especially now that they commentate together. I think it's funny to look back on that.
Yeah, I think that's really funny. They always bring up that Phoenix incident or even the Martinsville incident that kind of gets like underlooked from that season also. But yeah, just the fact that those two are in the booth together and they always just joke about it. Like, man, what are the odds? Like, if you told me back in 2011, those guys, or 2012, those guys would be in the booth together after that, I'm like, wow, I don't believe you, but that's pretty cool. But for me, my favorite fights, or I don't know if it's a favorite or whatever, but it's kind of cliche. I'd probably go back with Brad Keselowski versus everyone in 2014.
Dude, great season. I mean, four side, that was a good season.
It really was. Like, just kind of off topic, but like the fact that Ryan Newman was in the championship for that year was pretty impressive.
Ryan Newman came very, very, very close.
They almost won
championship with no wins, which would have made NASCAR's heads explode, because that's why the chase was created. And that's why the playoffs were created, because they wanted people to win more. And if Newman, kind of like when Matt Crafton did it in the Truck Series a couple of years ago, won the title with no wins.
But yeah, back in 2014, like I absolutely hated Brad Keselowski because you had him at Charlotte. I remember he ran into like Tony Stewart in the pit road, and then he hits Matt Kenseth on pit road, and then Matt Kenseth goes after him. And
Swan time bomb off the top rope.
Yeah. This random fight there, and then you go a couple more weeks later you have that whole Brad Keselowski, Jeff Gordon incident, and then Kevin Harvick's involved there. The whole crews are involved, and it was just like everyone versus Brad Keselowski that year.
All right, I'll jump into some fights. I've very recently here, I was at the Atlanta Xfinity race, and I see Noah Gragson throwing haymakers at Daniel Hemrick. That one was fun because, everybody's celebrating Justin Allgaier, and then, holy crap, there's a fight. Like, they screw the burnout. They just pan, and I could see on pit road, dudes just, like, arms flying and getting pulled, and you're like, holy crap, here's Gragson again, freaking highlights. I mean, whether you hate him or love him, you're talking about him. People are noticing him. It's good coverage. It's great for sport. Xfinity race, 2 races in a row, we got fights. I mean, they're literally taking the limelight from the Cup Series to me. I used to be like, yeah, I might watch the Xfinity race this weekend if I'm not busy. Now I'm sitting making sure I'm watching these Xfinity races.
And then, so I guess one more that I'll bring up real quick. There was no off-track altercation, so to speak, but a lot of people's favorite when Matt Kenseth took out Joey Logano and Martinsville.
Dude.
How
could we forget?
He blew the right front tire, and
I jumped off the couch watching that, dude. I was like, oh my gosh, like that was so badass. Like of Kenseth to just, you ruined my playoffs, I'm gonna ruin your life. It was so awesome. Everybody was a Kenseth fan that day.
Yeah, did you see the stands on the TV? Like,
yeah, I was really
got all those people cheering.
Everybody took their seats.
All right, so it's been a great show, but it is about time to wrap it up. Jared, I see you got the TV on again. Tell us about what's going on with that this week.
Yeah, we're doing the race thing again. I got another race on the TV there. So if you can guess which race it is, Elliot's going to send you some stuff.
Yep, the last episode, not last week, you had Bristol from 2013. This week, Richmond is the next race on the schedule. There's your hint. But got to pick out the track and the year. And yeah, I'll send you some free stuff and we'll get that rolling. But again, this is about the end of an episode. Let's get our typical breakdown of what's coming up on In Between Media from site founder and owner operator, all those CEO, whatever you want to call them. Seth Woolcock.
I appreciate it, Elliot. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you, Dakota, for joining us tonight. It was a pleasure to have you on, man. So thank you sincerely. By the time you'll be listening to this, we're going to have a couple more columns coming out this week. So go ahead and check that out. My new column, Start, Sit, and What Makes You Country, just came out earlier this week. Talk a little bit about my hometown, what it was like growing up there, and what really does make you country. Got to interview an awesome upcoming country singer, songwriter from my town as well to mix that in. So that was really cool. This show, we're going every 3 weeks, so you can find the Backroad here on our YouTube page. Make sure you hit that bell. We appreciate that. And then just everything else we have going. We got columns, we got podcasts, we got YouTube series. Check us out at IBT_media, pretty much everywhere. www.inbetweenmedia.com. I appreciate it. And Dakota, why don't you use this opportunity to plug a little bit about what you have coming down the pipeline for us?
Hey, boys. You can check me out on pretty much any social, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Dakota Drake 4. I'm going to races. I'm, providing content. Check out the Chairgating podcast with my boy Rattlesnake. We have episodes Wednesdays and Sundays. We're just talking everything NASCAR, what we think of the racing, and we'll definitely be at a bunch of races this year. Just, tailgating, kicking it, getting tons of content. We got good interviews. Maybe, hopefully, I'll see you boys again soon. We can maybe do some collab or something. But I'll be at a bunch of races this year. If you see me, holler at me. I'm always giving my opinions on everything NASCAR.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for rolling on down the back road with us again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.